Act as if you are the best. At first glance, this phrase might sound arrogant, presumptuous, like the kind of thing said by a man too full of himself and too empty in depth. But what if, just for a moment, we stripped away our cultural biases, the noise of motivational fluff, and looked at this statement through the lens of ancient discipline? Through the eyes of a man who seeks to live not by feelings but by principles. Act as if you are the best isn't about inflating your ego or faking confidence. It's about aligning your behavior with the highest standard of who you could be, not someday, not now. It's about asking yourself a brutally honest question. If I were the man I was meant to be, how would I act today? Because here's the truth. You will never outperform your identity. And if you keep identifying as someone small, uncertain, average, then no matter how much knowledge you consume, your actions will remain weak. But the Stoics knew something most modern men forget. Identity can be forged. Character can be chosen. Action is not dependent on how you feel, but on what you decide to honor. And this is where we introduce one of the most powerful Stoic virtues, wisdom. Wisdom for the Stoics is not about intellect or information. It is not about appearing smart or having clever quotes. It is the lived clarity of knowing what matters, knowing what's in your control, and knowing how to act with honor, even when no one is watching. Especially when no one is watching. Wisdom means you stop being a slave to your impulses. Wisdom means you question your assumptions. Wisdom means you understand this life is short, and you don't get to waste it waiting to feel ready. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome and perhaps the most burdened Stoic to walk the earth, wrote in his private journal, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." This is what act as if you are the best really means. Stop arguing, stop doubting, stop performing. Just be the man you know you're supposed to be. In posture, in tone, in presence, in principle. That doesn't mean pretending to be perfect. It means acting in line with your deepest integrity, even when it's uncomfortable. A man aligned with the best in himself doesn't need to be loud. He doesn't chase approval. He doesn't compete to feel valid. He walks with a calm, focused gravity, not because he believes he's better than others, but because he refuses to be worse than who he could be. Now ask yourself honestly, do you act like your time matters? Do you speak like your words carry weight? Do you walk into rooms like your presence is a gift, not an accident? Do you treat your habits, your energy, your attention like sacred resources? Or are you still waiting to be noticed, waiting to feel different, waiting to have more energy, waiting until you feel like it? Let me offer you a Stoic reality check. Your feelings do not decide your worth, your actions do, and that's the pivot point for this entire video, this entire movement of self-mastery. The man who acts as if he is the best is not lying. To himself, he is leading himself. He is living out of his vision, not his history. It's not fake, it's focused. It's not pride, it's posture. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. And in a world full of reactive, distracted, emotionally unstable men, this kind of presence is rare, and that makes it powerful. This kind of man walks slower, speaks clearer, works harder, listens deeper. He commands respect not by demanding it, but by making it impossible to ignore the discipline he carries into every room. That is what Stoicism demands, that you stop looking outside yourself for permission and you begin within. So today I invite you, not to perform, but to remember. Remember the man inside you that has always known you were made for more. Not more attention, more clarity, not more applause, more alignment, not more noise, more meaning. That's why you're here. That's why you pressed play, and that's why this letter exists, to awaken the version of you that has waited long enough. You don't need to chase being the best in the world. You need to start behaving as if you were already aligned with the best version within you. Not tomorrow, now. To truly understand why the idea of acting as if you are the best fits within the Stoic tradition, you must first discard everything you've been taught by the modern world about confidence, success, and identity. We live in a culture that confuses volume for value, noise for strength, and popularity for wisdom. But Stoicism has never played by those rules. The Stoics taught us that our highest power lies not in what we own or display, but in how we govern, ourselves. And the phrase act as if you are the best is not about showing off, it's about self-mastery. Let's go back to one of the earliest and clearest voices in Stoicism, Epictetus. Born a slave, he had every external reason to feel powerless, but he chose a different path. In his discourses, he said, "First say to yourself what you would. Be and then do what you have to do." This is the foundation of our philosophy. It is the call to name your ideal, not just to wish it, and then align your entire being to that aim. You do not wait for the right circumstances. You do not wait for people to recognize your worth. You declare your values, and then you walk them out. That's Stoic. That's sovereign. Now, let's look at Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, and perhaps the most burdened Stoic in history. In Meditations, he writes, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This is the kind of clarity that Stoicism demands. Not the arrogance of believing you are better than others, but the humility of knowing you were born to live by a higher standard, even if no one else does. When Marcus speaks of right and wrong, he isn't referencing external rules. He is speaking of internal alignment. And alignment is precisely what the phrase act as if you are the best demands. It's not about being better than others. It's about never again acting beneath yourself. Let's talk about Seneca, philosopher, playwright, advisor to emperors. And yet, he never shied away from calling out his own hypocrisy. He wrote, "While we are postponing, life speeds by." He knew what you know, that waiting is the slowest form of death. Waiting for clarity, waiting for confidence, waiting for certainty. The Stoic man does not wait. He acts in accordance with reason, even when the emotions scream otherwise. And this is why the foundation of Stoicism is not passivity, but posture. To act as if you are the best means to assume the posture of a man aligned with his deepest principles, not faking power, but radiating quiet strength, not manipulating others, but disciplining yourself. When Epictetus says to decide what kind of person you want to be, he's not asking you to daydream. He's handing you a blueprint, because identity is a decision followed by discipline. That's how a Stoic builds himself. Let's be even more precise. What does act as if look like in the real world? It means waking up and choosing your standard, not your mood. It means walking into a room and not shrinking, not flexing, just being rooted in who you are. It means showing restraint when anger rises. It means keeping your word when it's inconvenient. It means dressing, moving and speaking in a way that commands self-respect, even when no one else sees you. This is not behavior for show, it's behavior that shapes the soul. The Stoics were obsessed with this kind of training because they knew that most men react to life, but a Stoic man responds with intentionality. He trains himself to act with clarity even in confusion, with strength even in weariness, with virtue even when no one is watching. Act as if is not a mask, it's a method that says, I will no longer act like a lesser version of myself just to fit in. I will no longer betray my inner standard to be accepted by others. I will live by a code that honors the man I am becoming. And when life punches me in the mouth, when the storm comes, when I am doubted, dismissed, or alone, I will not flinch. I will remain, because that is what Stoicism produces, men who can stand when others collapse, men who can think when others panic, men who can love with strength, lead with humility, and walk with dignity, not because they are perfect, but because they are principled. That is the Stoic foundation, not theory, action, not talk, transformation. To act as if you are the best is to stand in the truth that no one else can give you permission to live with honor. It's already yours. Own it. Let's bring all this down to where it matters most, your actual life. Because Stoicism, if it doesn't touch the concrete, is just decoration. And we're not here to decorate our minds. We're here to build a life worth respecting even in silence. So what does act as if you are the best look like in the life of a man like you? You wake up tired, the alarm feels like an insult, and the day ahead is stacked with demands. Your job doesn't inspire you. Maybe it barely covers your bills. Your relationship feels routine, your body is stiff, your mind is noisy. You're carrying expectations from people who never learned how to carry themselves, and you feel the Pressure of being the one who always has to figure it out. Sound familiar? That's not failure. That's the starting line, because the Stoic man isn't defined by his circumstances. He's defined by how he moves through them. When you act as if you are the best, you begin making small, powerful shifts in the way you carry yourself. Not because your situation has improved, but because you decided to stop waiting for improvement to behave like a man of value. Let's make it real. You're exhausted, but you get up anyway, because discipline is worth more than comfort. You're not feeling motivated, but you work with focus, because presence is more powerful than excitement. You're unsure if things will work out, but you take the next right step, because progress doesn't wait for permission. This is what separates a Stoic from the crowd. He doesn't obey emotion. He respects it, but he's not ruled by it. Most men spend their lives reacting to pressure, to distraction, to expectation, to rejection. They float, pulled by whatever tide of emotion or circumstance hits them that day. But the Stoic man anchors himself. He plants his roots deep in the values he's chosen. He sets his eyes on the kind of man he wants to be and acts accordingly. That means that even if he feels like quitting, he shows up. Even if he feels fear, he speaks the truth. Even if he feels rage, he controls his tone. Even if no one claps, he keeps moving forward. That's not pretending. That's practicing. Now let's talk about areas where this principle can be applied. Right now in your daily life. 1, in your discipline. Every time you say, "I'll do it later," you're rehearsing weakness. But when you act as if you are already the kind of man who finishes what he starts, you get up. You train, you clean, you show up early, you follow through, not because it feels good, but because it builds who you are. 2, in your conversations. You don't need to be the loudest man in the room. You need to speak with conviction. Acting as if means listening more, interrupting less, choosing your words carefully. You talk like your words carry weight, answer because they do. You don't speak to win approval. You speak to build clarity. 3, in your body language. This one no one talks about, but it matters. How you stand, how you walk, how you enter a room. They all preach something before you say a single word. Act as if you're a man who honors his own existence. Keep your chest open, spine straight, chin neutral, not for show, for self-respect. 4, in your work. Even if you hate your job, act like a professional. Deliver work you can respect. Show up like you're training for something greater, because you are. Everything you do becomes preparation for who you're becoming. There is no such thing as just a job in the Stoic's mind. Every task is a test of character. 5, in your relationships with your partner, your friends, your children, your brothers. Act as if you're already the man they can trust, and then behave like it. Be present, be clear, be consistent. And don't hide behind emotional silence. Stoicism is not numbness, it's maturity. Now let me be honest with you, this way of living is hard. It's much easier to scroll your phone, complain, numb out, procrastinate. But that ease comes at a price: regret, resentment, and the quiet death of your inner power. You're not here for that. You're here because something inside you knows that the man you could be is still waiting on you to show up. And when you decide, truly decide, to act like you already are the best version of yourself, the world doesn't magically change, but you do. And when you change, everything around you is forced to respond. People listen differently. Opportunities emerge, confidence builds, not as a feeling but as a reputation you earn with yourself. That's what act as if really means. It's not ego. It's alignment. It's remembering who you could be and choosing to live like he's already watching. Today I write to you, not to the world, not to the masses, but to you, the man who lies awake at night staring at the ceiling, trying to remember who he was before life started demanding that he be everything for everyone. I write to you, the man who carries his silence like armor, the man who doesn't ask for help because he's the one everyone comes to, the man who in the mirror sees someone older than his years, not from time, but from the weight he's been dragging. I know what it's like to pretend that everything is fine when you're quietly breaking. I know the burn in your chest when you shake hands like a leader, but feel like a fraud. I know the sting of hearing, "You're strong," when you haven't. Felt strong in weeks, maybe months. You're not alone. This letter is not a motivational speech. It's not here to tell you that everything will magically get better, because we both know it won't, not without you becoming something more, not without you deciding. And so I'm writing to the version of you that's still fighting, even if that fight is quiet. The version of you that shows up to work, even when it feels meaningless. The version that loves people who don't understand what you carry. The version that has failed us but didn't give up. The version that knows deep down that the life you're living isn't your ceiling, it's your starting ground. You want to change? Then start by acting like the man you wish you already were, not in fantasy and behavior, not someday. Today. Act like the man who doesn't flinch in discomfort. Act like the man who walks with posture, even when his soul feels crushed. Act like the man who no longer makes decisions from insecurity, fear, or fatigue, but from clarity, intention, and honor. That man is not an illusion, he's already inside you. He's just waiting for you to stop negotiating with your excuses. Listen, brother, we've all been lied to. We've been told that confidence comes first, that we need to feel strong to act strong, that the world needs to change before we can start believing in ourselves. No, you act first, you move first, you choose first, and that choice becomes the seed of transformation. I'm not telling you to fake it, I'm telling you to lead yourself. Lead yourself like the man you'd want your son to become. Lead yourself like the man you wish your father had been. Lead yourself like the man your younger self needed when he was afraid, lost, or alone. That's what this is. A letter from one man who still struggles to another man who refuses to stay stuck. Because the truth is, you've been underestimated, maybe by others, maybe by yourself. But deep inside, there's something unbreakable. And it's not found in speeches or hype or success. It's forged in how you respond when life forgets to be kind, when no one is watching and you still hold your standard. That's where you earn your own respect. That's where your name begins to mean something, not to the world, but to you. So here's what I want from you this week. Just one thing. Act as if you're already the man you admire. Walk as if your future self is watching. Decide as if your word matters, because it does. Speak with the weight of someone who refuses to lie to himself ever again. Move through your day with the gravity of someone who's done waiting for the world to change. And when you fall, not if, but when, get back up like a man who knows that pain is not the end of the story. You are not your past. You are not your worst moment. You are not the voice that tells you you'll never be enough. You are a man in motion, a man being forged, a man who, even now, with doubt in his lungs and fatigue in his bones, still chooses to rise. And that, right there, is what separates you. So to the man who feels unseen, I see you. To the man who feels unheard, this letter is for you. To the man who's been pretending so you don't need to anymore, start walking in alignment with your highest self, not because it's easy, because it's worthy. Not because people will notice, but because you will. Because when you walk like the best version of yourself is already guiding your decisions, you begin to become him. This letter is not a goodbye. It's the start of a pact, a brotherhood built not on words, but on action. We don't just talk stoicism, we live it. And now it's your turn. Take a breath, not just a shallow one. Breathe all the way down, to the weight in your chest, to the place inside you that's been carrying more than it can name. Now hear me. You made it to the end of this letter. That alone says something about you. It says you're not numb. It says you're not indifferent. It says no matter how tired or doubtful or overwhelmed you feel, something in you is still awake. And that something? That's your inner compass, your soul's refusal to settle for a version of life that feels like slow death. The question now is simple. What will you do with what you just heard? You've heard about posture, you've heard about virtue. You've been reminded that acting as if is not a lie, it's a vow. But if all you do is nod and scroll to the next video, nothing changes. If all you do is agree silently but act carelessly, you'll wake up in the same prison tomorrow. So here's what I offer you now. Not advice, not a lecture, a challenge. For the next 7 days, you will act as if you are already aligned with your highest self, not in theory, in practice, in the small, brutal, sacred routines that shape real men. Here's your commitment. Wake up 10 minutes earlier than you normally would. Don't rush into your phone, don't check emails. Sit in silence or stretch or breathe. Not for productivity, for presence. Write one sentence each morning beginning with, "The man I am becoming would," and finish it, honestly. The man I am becoming would stay calm in chaos. The man I am becoming would speak clearly today. The man I am becoming would not complain about things he can fix. Whatever it is, name it and live it. Keep one small promise to yourself every day. Drink water instead of soda. Speak kindly to someone you usually ignore. Turn off your screen 30 minutes earlier. Nothing flashy, just evidence. Evidence that you can be trusted. Stand with intention. When you walk into a room, check your posture. Shoulders open, chin steady, eyes level. Walk like your future. Self is observing you. Speak with weight. Fewer filler words, fewer justifications. When you talk, do it from the chest. With intention, not noise. Do something difficult, on purpose. Take a cold shower. Go to the gym when you don't want to. Say no when it's uncomfortable. Not because it'll impress someone, because it'll sharpen you. Write one sentence at night beginning with, "Today I lived like the man I want to be when..." And be honest. Even if the answer is, "I didn't." That's the path. That's where growth begins. This is not a formula, it's not a trick. It's training. Training your nervous system to believe you again. Training your eyes to see yourself with clarity. Training your life to respond to the man you're becoming, not the one you've been. And every time you falter, because you will, and don't spiral, don't punish yourself, just return. Return to your code. Return to your clarity. Return to your breath. Return to the man who's been waiting for you to show up. You don't need to wait to be that man. You just need to decide he's already within you and behave accordingly. And now, as a final act of alignment, I want you to speak this aloud, not in front of others, not for validation, just for you. I am capable and worthy of success. I am a blessing to the world. Write it in the comments, say it in the morning, repeat it in your silence. And not because it's magic, but because it's your signal. Your signal to stop living like your past defines your future. Before we close, I ask you this, not for me, but for the brotherhood we're building. Here, like this video if it spoke to you. Subscribe if you know you need more than noise. You need philosophy with teeth. Comment with the sentence that hit you the hardest. Share this with one man who needs a reminder that his future is not cancelled. This is our exchange. This is our honor. This is letters to a Stoic mind. And I'll see you in the next letter, where we rise again. Not because it's easy, but because it's time. Stand tall, walk slow. Act as if you've already become who you were born to be.